Good morning. Today I'll be discussing about the second part of Module 4 of Civil Engineering Project Management, which is a course for the final year civil engineering students of Kerala Technological University. This is the second lecture. The first lecture was on professional ethics. The second lecture is going to be on Project Management Information System. So, the project management requires informations to make decisions. So informations play a very important role in binding the building blocks of organizations. That is, they require information. They collect the data, they require to process it, they want the information in order to make decisions regarding the project. Now, there is always a misconception between data and information. They both usually seem to be used for the same thing. People tend to use the words data and information synonymously. That is, they're used in the same place for the same term. However, they're different. Data is not the same as information. So let's see what the difference is. Data refers to the raw, unsummarized, and unanalyzed inputs. It might not help project managers if they have loads of input data. That is, you have collected a lot of data, but they're raw, they're not summarized, they're not analyzed, and so currently they do not make any sense. So for project managers, if they have a lot of data, it does not help them in any manner. It is the information that is derived from the data that helps the managers in performing their functions efficiently and effectively. That is, you analyze the data to get the information. Information is what you obtain after summarizing and analyzing your data. Data is the raw form. Information is the more refined form. So let's look into the characteristics of information. Information is what the human mind has perceived to be of use after analyzing the data. So the human mind has to perceive it that after analyzing the data, you get a lot of things. The human mind must find it useful for it to be characterized as information. Now, information reduces the uncertainty about a situation, thus reducing risks while making decisions. So, when you have the information with you, you can take decisions by without any risk, because you have the data, you have the information that has been derived from the data in your hands. Now, information quality represents the degree of accuracy with which reality is presented. Incorrect information can mislead managers. That is, you have collected a lot of data and you have analyzed them to get information. Now, if it so happens that the data has been analyzed incorrectly, you end up with incorrect information. And incorrect information will be detrimental as far as the project managers are concerned, because they tend to make wrong decisions, and the degree of accuracy with which they are doing the work will also be affected. Information must be reliable. Reliable means it has to be trustworthy. It must be comprehensive. Comprehensive means it must contain, it must be derived from adequate amount of data. It's not that one or two data are giving you the information. No, there must be adequate amount of data that is actually providing you with the information, so that the information is comprehensive. It must be error-free, precise. It should be clear, consistent, and it has to be understandable by those who need it. So it's not like you have analyzed the data and you've got the information and you've given it to your manager, but the manager cannot make head or tail of the information because he's not able to comprehend it, or he's not able to understand what has been presented to him. So information must be understandable by those who need it. Information should be available on time when needed. That is, you require a particular information, you should be provided that information on time. Information should be sufficient to support the situation warranting decision. That is, you have one decision pending, you're waiting for the information to arrive to make that decision. And if you have very scanty information in that regard, usually the decision making process will be delayed, because you do not know whether to make that decision or not, because the information is not sufficient. So information should be sufficient to support the situation. Information should be adequate. that is excess information. When I've talked in the previous point, I told that information should be sufficient. Information should be sufficient means information should not be too less, such that the decision making is risky. But it should also be adequate. When they say adequate, it means that there should not be any excess information. Why should there be no excess information? Because excess information causes overload, and the money insufficient. Excess information causes overload and money, whereas insufficient information can frustrate the decision maker. So excess information, you have a lot of information, so that has actually created or made use of a lot of money, and it has overloaded a lot of people who have analyzed that information. Whereas insufficient information will make the decision making process a very risky procedure, and it might frustrate the decision maker. So information furnished to a manager should be relevant to his area of responsibility. That is, you cannot go and give the person who wants to decide about pricing of a product, you cannot go and give him information regarding the quality or the technical details specifications or something like that. He should be given data pertaining to his area of responsibility. If he is responsible for paying the laborers, then he has no use with the information regarding the transportation that is going to transport the product to the market. No. So it should be relevant. What the information that you're giving the manager should be relevant to his area of responsibility. Information presented should be made comprehensive by using appropriate graphs and highlighting critical factors. So what we say is that usually, instead of presenting a whole lot of data in the form of a book or in the form of a paper, if you can, or in the form of a table, you all have worked in Microsoft Excel, you know how big the table can get and how many numbers there can be. Instead, if you can provide the whole information as a single graph, then for the person who is looking at the information, they will be able to comprehend it much more simply, much more easily, and they would also be able to understand. If you have highlighted the critical factors, they would easily understand which is the region where they should be paying attention. So information presented should be comprehensive. If you use graphs, better. Now let's move on to the topic, which is concept of Project Management Information System, or PMIS. So PMIS is an integrated user machine system. That is, in PMIS, the user as well as the machine are components. It provides information to support the operations, management, and decision-making functions related to planning and control of project objectives. That is, it is an integrated user machine system. The machine would be a computer where a software is running, which will analyze the data to give the information, and the user would be the one who would be feeding the inputs and maybe sending the analyzing tools or checking for the information required by the decision maker. So basically, Project Management Information System is a user machine system. It's an integrated system, user machine system, that is going to derive information out of the available data. So let's check the functions of Project Management Information System. It sets standards against which to measure and compare progress and costs, to organize efficient means of measuring, collecting, verifying, and quantifying data reflecting performance with respect to time, cost, resources, and quality, to manage means of converting data from operations into information. So data, you have to manage the means by which you're going to convert the available data into information. To report the correct and necessary information in the form in which it can be interpreted by the management. So it's not enough that you've got the information, you also need to present it in front of the management. So you have to present it in a way in which they can easily interpret it. To provide exception reports highlighting critical factors. So there always tends to be exception reports. That general trend is like this, but there has been exceptions, and these are the exceptions, and this is when it has happened. So you have to also provide, whenever you're providing information, you also provide the exception reports so that the information available is comprehensive. So that is also a function of the project management information system. So the project management information system makes sure that information is handled efficiently. To deliver information on time for remedial corrective action. So remedial corrective action means that you've made some mistake and you need to remedy it. So you need to give information regarding how to remedy the situation, and it has to be provided on time, because once it has gone wrong, you don't have much time to correct it. So you need the correct information on time to take the remedial action, and so project management information system helps you with that. Now these are the components of a PMIS: hardware, software, database, procedures, operators, and documents. This is important. This usually come for the university exam a lot of times. Components of PMIS. These 6 components, we'll be discussing them in a little more detail. When you're talking about hardware, or all electronics and electromechanical equipment used in computerized data systems are hardware, are part of the hardware. It consists of a central processing units and its peripherals. Its peripherals means the keyboard, the mouse, and all the other things that are connected to your computer form part of your hardware. So hardware is the outside entity, that is your machine that you're using, that forms part of the project management information system. Now the most important one is software. So the computer hardware requires proper instructions to perform specified operations, and those instructions are communicated by the programmer. So there is a person, there is a man sitting in the form of a programmer, and who is in the form of a program using appropriate computer language. He is providing instructions, and these instructions are converted into machine language by the computer's inbuilt system, which includes the computer processing, the CPU, and this machine language will process the specified functions. So all these functions of the computer are grouped under the term software. So there is a software to which you can feed your program, and that program would be read by the machine language of the hardware, and then they will perform the specified functions. This is the role of the software in PMIS. Next is third component, the database. Database means you have the software and the hardware with you, but in order to process anything or to provide information, you require the input data. So all the data should be available as a database with you, and that is the third component of PMIS. The fourth component is the procedure. Procedure is the formal operating procedure. Now it would be present in the form of a manual or an instruction booklet as to how to operate that particular software, and what are the steps to be taken to analyze the given data. So that is your procedure. The fifth component of PMIS is operator. It includes, so when I'm talking about an operator, it's not the programmer. It includes system analysts, programmers, data preparation, that is people who collect the data, then information system management, data administrators, etc. Basically all the people behind the process of project management information systems are the operators. And the last component of PMIS is documents. It consists of processing transactions, master files, the reports, process inquiries, output, etc. that is delivered out of it, that you have documented from your analysis. That becomes part of your documents. Now we're going to talk about information system computerization, or why it is important to computerize the information system. So computers are an invaluable tool for managing construction projects. Computer applications and project management include project planning and control, computer-aided design and drafting, estimating and costing, resource management, finance and cost accounting, word processing, and office operations management. So a lot of applications as far as the computer is concerned in project management. So now the problem is that there has to be a decision that has to be made whether to make the application software in-house or to buy the application software, that is the project management software, from already existing softwares. So the facilities provided by a typical project management software package are going to be the plan creating facilities, the project management facilities, and the Salient operating facilities. We look at them in detail. So when you're talking about the plan creating facilities, after the necessary data inputs are given, the computer can print the following graphs, which includes the network diagram, the activity schedule metrics, the project bar schedule, then time scaled network, if you want a histogram, if you want a forecast of inputs and outputs, all this can be given. This is a plan creating facility, that is what is to be done in the project later on. That information can be actually printed out as graphs and given to you by the information system if it is being computerized. Then project management facilities, they help you manage the project. Earlier they had given you the data to plan your project. Now they're going to give you the information to manage your project, and they generate typical performance reports. And these typical performance reports include time control report, resource control reports, cost control reports, and the project data reports. So they're going to give you information about how well the time is being controlled in the project, how well the resources are being controlled in the project, how well you're managing your finances in the project, and they also collect the project data. So whatever information you require later on for any other project, you can derive it from the data that you're obtaining from this project, and that also can be done using a information system computerization. Now, the Salient operating facilities. So the latest project management packages have the following operating features. They can handle unlimited number of activities. That is, for a large project, usually there will be a lot of activities, so they can handle all these unlimited activities. They have inbuilt graphic capability to generate all types of networks, bar charts, various types of schedules, resources, cost profiles, etc. So they are usually they have this graphic capacity to develop or to generate a lot of graphs. They can add activities, define relationships, modify activity data, update work progress in just one click. They that is if you had been doing it manually, what would have taken you maybe 2 hours of time, they would do it in one click. They enable multi-user operating facilities, that is the number of users can be using it at the same time, and they're user friendly and they're not very expensive. So these are the modern project management packages. These are what they have to offer you. Now, how do you acquire a system for your project? So the procurement process involves, you have to choose a software, you have to match it with the hardware. Now you have the software and the hardware with you, but then the people involved in your project might not be familiar with the software or the hardware, so you definitely need to assess the training requirements of your team. That is, how many people would have to be trained for how many days. Then you have to evaluate the cost of the system, and then finally you have to finalize the supplier who's going to provide you with the software. So let's look at the first step, which is choosing a software. One may choose an existing software system available in the market with or without having it customized, or you can make it or have it tailor-made. That is, you already have project management softwares available in the market, so you can either go and purchase a project management software for your project that is without having it customized, or maybe you can have it customized for your project, or another option is to have it tailor-made. Tailor-made means they make the software especially for your particular company, they make it for your particular project. So available software packages might not cater to the requirements of the project 100%, but will have to be tried and tested, and hence it will be easier to learn. That is, I'm just making a comparison. What happens if you are buying an already available software package, and what happens if you are making a tailor-made software package for your own project. If it's a already existing software package that you are purchasing, then it might not cater to your project 100%. But the plus point is that a lot of people would be already working on this type of software, so it is tried and tested, and it will be much easier to learn that particular software package. Now, if you go towards tailor-made software packages, they cater to your project in every manner. They completely cater 100% to your project because it has been tailor-made for you. It's like it's the difference between buying a ready-made dress from a garment store, or whether you're going to the tailor and going to stitch your own dress. It's the same thing. When you have a ready-made dress, it might not fit you perfectly, but then it would be tried and tested. And I mean, it not the tried and tested. The quality might be good. Lots of people might be guarantee for the quality, and what do you say? It might last for longer or something like that. Now, in tailor-made, when you're going for tailor-made, it will fit you perfectly, but then it will take time to adapt to. And now I'm talking about the software. It will take time to adapt to, because nobody else has worked on that software before, and problems arising in the software will be new ones that might not have ready-made solutions. So next step is to match the hardware with the software. Like, certain softwares can only work when the hardware has a particular capacity. So it is the software that dictates the type of hardware required. You cannot first buy the hardware and then decide to match it with an available software. No. You first decide the type of software you're going to provide your project, and then it is the software requirements that help you decide what type of hardware should be bought. So a software package will not work if basic software parameters such as the language, operating system, internal memory, file handling capacity do not fit. So you cannot buy the most ultra modern software and try to match it with the most olden times hardware. Next important step is the training that is to be provided. Software suppliers may claim that their package is easy to use and provide online helps. Although they provide easily understandable manuals and instruction materials for training staff, what is needed is a job-oriented training. That is, if you're planning to buy a software from a supplier and then you decide that, it is going to be easy to understand because they're providing you with online helps, etc. But you actually require to train your staff with what is known as a job-oriented training. That is, what is your requirement, what is the requirement for your project, you need to train your staff with that particular job. So even though they have provided ready-made manuals, you require to provide your staff with a job-oriented training. The fourth step of acquiring a system is the system costs. Costs are analyzed by comparing offers. This is like, calling a tender. So you receive the offers from different system suppliers, and the cost that they're quoting might include equipment purchase costs, installation costs, operating costs, computer furnishing and accommodation costs, etc. So you have to compare the offers received from different system suppliers. And finally, you have to select the supplier from whom you're going to buy the software. You're going to buy the software package. Now, when you're selecting the supplier, you usually don't go for the person who is quoted the lowest. No, it's not like that. While purchasing, it is important to check the track record of the supplier so as to evaluate his competence and support capabilities. So you have to go back and check the track record, whether he's been supplying and whether he's been providing with adequate help, whether he's not going to be bothered anymore after we pay the money. We have to be sure of that. So track record can be assessed by taking feedback from the organizations to which the supplier has supplied his products in the past. So there might be people to whom the supplier has supplied materials in the past, supplied software in the past. So check with them the track record of the supplier before actually buying the product from him. He might be looking as the best option for you, but then do not select that supplier unless you check the track record of the supplier. Now we come across, we have talked about information system and how it is going to be used and all that, but then there are going to be problems in information management or using information management system. So there are two types of problems that can arise. One is system organization problem and another is system acquisition and implementation problems. So let's look at the system organization problems. The organization problems that can occur are that managers don't know what they need. That is, you have the software with you, you have the data with you, you can analyze them into information, but managers who require the information do not know what information they require. So unless and until the managers are sure of the type of information they want, then the whole exercise of buying the software, matching it with the hardware, training the professionals, everything goes to waste because they don't know what type of information they require. Then information is not easily retrievable. So some projects do generate useful data, but they're not in a form or location that makes it very uneconomical and unfeasible to retrieve. So unless and until it is in a retrievable format, the whole project management information system it would not work. Another problem is that the information can get misinterpreted. So there will be two people collecting the same data and analyzing it in different manners, and this would lead to misinterpretation of data, and this would lead to wrong information and wrong decision making. Information accumulation. Now that is another coin, another side of the same coin, that is duplication of information. Now there are more than 3 or 4 people are working on the same data to collect the same information without each other knowing it, and this would actually cost the company. It would also take out their time and overload the people, because the information that one person requires has already been processed by another person and is there in the company, but the person who is currently working on it does not know about this. And this is also a big problem in project management information system. Another thing is that some people hide information. That is human nature. Now computers cannot help it if people don't want to share information. So what happens is they have the information with them, they have the data with them, they have processed the data to get very useful information, but they do not share it with people. They want to increase their value in the company. They want to become indispensable to the organization because the organization has to feel that this person knows this data, nobody else knows it, and so that person does not share the information, they hide the information, and that is another problem in system organization problem in information system management. And one last point is that there is a resistance to change. So people are accustomed to one way of doing things, and suddenly when you bring in the computer and the software and the job training and everything, there is a resistance to change. They don't want to change. So that has to be overcome. Now, another problem, system organization problem, is that information delays are common. Information delays are common means there is a time lag between occurrence of an event and an information reaching a concerned person. So these are known as information delays. That is, it is not reaching the person on time. The information systems are of little use to a construction man. A construction man would be a laborer who's working on the site. So paperwork at the site level has not changed. However much you have changed the office, however much you have modernized the office, at the site it is still, paperwork and communicating with the laborers and all that. And so information system has not helped much to improve the situations at site. Now, information systems cost money. Systems are costly, and without it, it was found that installed systems become obsolete in a few years due to rapid advances in technology. So the technology that you see today would not be the technology that you see 6 months from now. It's rapidly increasing or rapidly advancing, and so if you spend a lot of money on buying the system and buying the software, and then you see that 1 year later the whole technology has changed, the software packages used has changed, you would feel it as a waste of money. So basically information systems cost money. Now let's look at system acquisition and implementation problems. Acquiring a computerized system needs extra effort and is time consuming. So yeah, definitely if you want to convert your manual processes into a computerized system, a lot of extra effort is needed, a lot of time would be taken, and as it is, our construction project is getting delayed, and would you want to waste your time more by trying to computerize it? That would be a problem. Now, success of the system depends on the supplier's support. That is very important. They deliver you the product, and they deliver you with the software, and then they go back, and then they don't turn back. It is going to affect your working because you require their help at the initial stages. So there is a chance of starting trouble to get accustomed to the new system. So all has been done, the job training has been given, it has been installed and in place, and then the people start working with the information system. However, they have a starting trouble because they're doing something really new, and this would lead to some time wasting. That is, some time is wasted due to the fact that they're getting accustomed to the new system. Proper training will have to be provided to the personnel to make the system work properly. So the system might be top class, the software might be the best in the world, but the people don't know how to use it. Then it does not have any meaning. So proper training will have to be provided to personnel to make the system work properly. Now let's look at the role of the management in solving these problems. So management should treat information as a resource requiring proper management. So management already has people looking after the money, the manpower, the machinery, and the materials. Information should be treated at par with all these, and they should understand, the management should understand that even information should be treated as a resource that requires proper management. They should appoint people to monitor the information system. Now, keeping in mind that it's just like money, manpower, machinery, and materials, information is also important. They should actually appoint a team to manage or monitor the information system. All expenditure on information systems and resources should be centrally coordinated. Now, management should be up to date with the new technologies so that they can be implemented as and when required. So that if management is up to date with the technology, the management is ready to incorporate the information management system to the organization, then a lot of problems will start getting solved. Let's look at the benefits of a computerized information system. A computerized information system indicates the plan making sequence, that is how to go ahead with your project. It removes data voids, that is especially you have a lot of data and you're processing them to get information, and you require a certain amount of information, and that particular data is not available with you. It would be easily understandable that that particular data is not available if the information system is computerized. Whereas if you are working on it manually, it will take you time from weeks to months to understand that you require more data. Then it clearly defines the tasks involved, and it speedily works out the answers to resource constraints and generates implications of their changes. So suppose during the project they understand that this particular resource is having a lesser supply, or maybe the price has gone up and we don't have that much money, and so the computerized system would be able to generate the implications of this change to you. Maybe it can tell you that this would increase the project cost by this much percentage, or if you don't want to increase this much percentage, you have another option of buying another material. Something like that, it will be easily able to point out, which would be not so quickly available if the person was thinking on his own. Now, computerized information system provides the project manager the information to fulfill his various roles. So a project manager is appointed to fulfill various roles. Now, he can play an interpersonal role of a figurehead, leader, and a liaison. A liaison means that he is going to work to ensure the cooperation between the team members. Then informational role. So he has an interpersonal role amongst his team. Then he has an informational role of monitoring, disseminating, and becoming the spokesperson. And he has a decisional role of an entrepreneur, a disturbance handler, a resource allocator, and negotiator. So when you're talking about a project manager, he has a lot of roles to play. He has an interpersonal role, he has an informational role, and he has a decision-making role. And a computerized information system provides the project manager the information required to fulfill his various roles. So these are a few of the questions for self-assessment. This has been taken directly out of the university question papers for civil engineering project management. What are the questions that has come from these topics of project management information system? If you go through them and if you can answer them, then you might be able to, or you might be sure that you have understood the topic. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you have understood.